How is the search going? Have you found any information on this player Yuan yet? A handsome young man sat on his bed with Cultivation Online's console, the helmet still on his head, his gaze at the middle-aged man standing by the door. Sorry, young master, but this player seems resolute in keeping his identity a secret. Not even our offer was able to lure him out, said the middle-aged man in a tired tone. He has gone without sleep for the past 2 days just to look for information on Yuan, but alas, the results came back in a box of disappointment filled with a whole lot of nothing. Not taking the bait? Then all we have to do is increase the temptation. Go and adjust the reward to 20 million. Unless this player is already super wealthy, then he will surely bite the bait sooner or later, said the young man casually, as though 20 million means nothing in his eyes. Understood. The middle-aged man then left the young man alone. I will have my hands on this player no matter the price. This individual is either Lady Luck's child or has connections to the game creators, allowing him to obtain things in the game that normal people will never have a chance to obtain. If I get him to join my faction, then my family's position within the ranks will surely rise. Similar scenes played out throughout the world with many high-standing figures doing whatever they can in their power to learn more about this player Yuan, who is already light years ahead of everyone else in the game, unaware that Yuan still has no idea how much of a stir he has created in the real world just because of a few system announcements. While Cultivation Online is just a mere game in Yuan's eyes, that was not the case for others, who have their own ulterior motives. After eating breakfast, Yuan went into the game, but alas, the small figure of Xiao Huas was still nowhere to be found. Did she get in trouble with her family for staying out so late? He thought of that possibility. Maybe she was lying about her family not worrying so we could play for a bit longer. Yuan sighed, missing the cheerful little girl. Without her, what else is there to do in this world? Strength, wealth, fame. Yuan was not interested in any of these. All he wanted to do was have fun and use his body normally, something he cannot achieve in the real world. He pulled out the necklace she gave him before she left. Shaking his head, he sighed. I shouldn't be so impatient. I will wait for her just like she had waited for my return. Thus, he sat down to cultivate again. While it was boring at first, as he slowly grew used to cultivating, he began feeling pleasure, like getting a massage during a nap. Time passed quickly, and the night sky appears once again. 160,000, 160,000. You have absorbed enough chi for a breakthrough. You have reached 6th level Spirit Apprentice. All stats plus 350. 320,000, 320,000. You have reached 7th level Spirit Apprentice. You have learned Enhanced Senses. All stats plus 400. Enhanced Sense. Rank, not applicable. Description, permanently enhances the functions of all available senses. Requires no activation. 322.95 640,000. It is taking longer and longer to advance to the next level, and the requirement needed is doubling with every level. Just how many more levels is there? Yuan pondered, but knowing he's still an apprentice makes him worry about the later stages. It will take a month of straight cultivating to advance 1 level in the later stages at this rate. This cultivation thing is such a chore. Just as Yuan was about to log off for tonight, an announcement appears in the sky, attracting countless gazes from below. Congratulations! Player White Lotus has become the world's first player to have obtained a servant. While Yuan wondered what type of servant this White Lotus had obtained, everybody else was surprised to see a player White Lotus instead of a player Yuan, who was thought to have another shock for the world. But of course, many players were also relieved to know that Yuan would no longer be the only ancestor in the world. Ancestor is a title created by the community that refers to those who have appeared in the system as our world's first after Yuan's first announcement. Servants, he. Yuan suddenly began having desires of obtaining a servant. But how does one obtain a servant? After logging off the game, Yu was already beside him with dinner in her hands. Yu, how do you obtain servants in this game? He decided to ask her. Servants? Did someone obtain a servant already? She asked with curiosity. Also, I don't know anything about obtaining servants. It was someone named White Lotus. White Lotus? Yu immediately recognized that name. She is one of the top players at the moment who has a cultivation base at 5th level Spirit Apprentice. Furthermore, she is actually a rich young lady in real life, too. 5th level Spirit Apprentice is considered the top. Yuan, who is already a 7th level Spirit Apprentice, was surprised to hear that someone who is 2 whole levels behind him is at the top. Are they really top players? I barely cultivated and I'm already 2 levels above one of the top rankers. He wondered. Yu, who has the highest cultivation in the gamers of this moment? I believe it is someone known as Lightning Emperor, who is a 6th level Spirit Apprentice. Whoa, what an edgy name. That's what you're concerned about. Yu chucked. Say, what's your cultivation now? Since you spent most of your time fooling around, it should be pretty low, right? Let me take a guess, you are a 2nd level Spirit Apprentice. Yuan grinned. Wrong. 1st level Spirit Apprentice. Wrong again. What? Don't tell me you have yet to cultivate. Yu, since when have I become so pitiful and weak in your eyes? Your brother is disappointed. Yuan said in a sorrowful voice. Never mind, I am just a nobody in the game, anyway. And like you have said, I have been fooling around, so hurry up and play with me so we can do things together. This week is impossible since I still have school, but next week for sure when summer break begins. School, huh? I am envious. Yuan smiled bitterly. Going to school is nothing to be envious about, brother. It is boring and tiring, sighed Yu. But I still envy you and every student out there. He sighed inwardly. After talking for a few more minutes, Yu went back to her room to sleep, and Yuan himself also went to sleep. If she doesn't appear by tomorrow, I should use that necklace, he told himself before falling asleep. Xiaohua, where are you? Your favorite brother is here to play with you. Yuan shouted loudly in the forest the moment he logged into the game. What am I doing? He sat down afterward, his hand reaching for the necklace around his neck. Despite it seemingly made out of steel with a piece of jade attached, the necklace was as light as a feather, nearly weightless. Xiaohua's necklace. Grade. Description, obtained from Xiaohua. Even though she said to use this to call her, how do I use it? He played around with the necklace as he pondered. He tried poking it, caressing it, commanding it to open, even licking it, but alas, the necklace remained unchanged. After many minutes and many failures later, Yuan decided to stop trying to activate the necklace. Oh, Xiaohua. How can you give me something so complicated without explaining its functions? He sighed loudly. Suddenly, as though the heavens heard his sigh, the earth trembled. ___. The sound of metal clashing resounded, followed by loud cursing. Eat my coiling sword strike, you bastard! Courting death! Boom! A loud explosion appeared in the distance, startling Yuan. What just happened? Why did the earth tremble the way it did just now? Did someone drop a bomb? Clang! The sound of metal clashing resounded again, and a gust of wind suddenly swept the place, nearly lifting Yuan into the air. Devil Meng Li! If I don't kill you today, then I am not Zhon Shuegang. Aha-waha! A mere half-step spirit grandmaster like you think you can kill me? Today will be the day you will realize your foolish existence in hell. Clang! 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 Visible ripples filled with profound power swiftly swept the sky after every clash, sending chills down Yuan's spine every time it swept past him. It is actually two people fighting against each other that is causing this phenomenon. Yuan was shocked, to say the least. To fight in someone else's garden, how disrespectful. Soon, two figures could be seen fighting each other in the air from where Yuan stood. One with long red hair and one with long black hair. They were flying back and forth, throwing powerful sword strikes at each other that would create ripples upon being blocked by the other person. They are flying, just like that old man. Yuan recalled Elder Song, the old man who gave him and thousands of other players a brief explanation about this world while standing on a sword in the air. The fight in the air lasted for many minutes without either one gaining an advantage over the other. They seemed to be equally matched. However, as they were getting closer and closer to where Yuan stood, the destructive ripples created by their sword clashes also became painful to bear for him. Despite not being a part of the fight, Yuan could feel a dominating pressure making it difficult for him to breathe, and his body felt as though it was carrying a large rock. Die for me. 7 earthly sword strikes. Aha waha. Too weak. Way too weak. Bloody sword strike. A ripple far superior to the previous swept through the place until it could no longer be seen on the horizon. Cough. Yuan could no longer resist the pressure and coughed up a mouthful of blood. Damn! This is really uncomfortable. He wiped the blood from his mouth with his hand. I can even taste the iron-like taste of blood. Yuan was completely immersed at this moment. The pain in his body and the realistic features of this game temporarily made him forget that this was just a game. If they get any closer, I will definitely die from collateral damage. He began running away from the two, but the clashes between them were also getting stronger. 9 earthly sword strikes. Devil's blood. Boom! Trees fell and the clouds scattered from the impact, and Yuan was sent flying towards a tree, losing consciousness a moment later. Ha ha. Lon Shuegang, what's wrong? Didn't you say that you will kill me today? One of the figures began laughing while pointing at the other person who was missing an arm. The prime disciple of the profound sword sect is only SOSO, just like that junior sister of yours. Ha. I will kill you. Zhong Xuegang roared, his eyes turned red, and his cultivation base suddenly increased dramatically. What? The eyes of Devil Ming Li widened from shock. You had a breakthrough in the middle of our fight. I will avenge junior apprentice Sister Xia today by killing you even if I have to lose all 4 of my limbs and become a cripple. His eyes and nose began bleeding, and veins appeared all over his body. Was she your lover by any chance? Then let me tell you something important before you die. Her body was amazing. It is truly a pity that she had killed herself so quickly, or else I would have surely enjoyed her body even more. Ha. Meng Li, go to hell. The blue sword in Zhong Xuegang's grasp glowed a dark blue light, and killing intent soared beyond the clouds. Spirit blade. Trying to bring me down with you? Just because you are now a spirit grandmaster like me does not mean we are on equal standing, you fool. Meng Li's red hair glowed a crimson color along with his eyes, looking like a real devil from hell. Hell's fire! Suddenly, before the two of them could release their techniques, a little girl in red robes appeared in between them like a ghost, and in her grasp was a necklace covered in fresh blood. For more, visit lightnovelhelpub.com. For disturbing the peace of our place, your cultivation base shall be crippled as a punishment. The little girl waved her sleeves, and Meng Li and Ron Xuegang felt their entire cultivation base collapse an instant later. Without any cultivation to support them, the two were no longer able to control their attacks or fly, and they fell straight to the ground, breaking many bones upon hitting the earth. "Who are you?" Meng Li cried out loud as he laid on the ground, experiencing major pain across his body. To cripple him, a spirit grandmaster, with a mere wave of her sleeves, her background must be shocking. As for Zhong Xuegang, he could only stare at the little girl in the air with wide eyes. He was too shocked to think. "What did we do to offend you? Answer me!" Meng Li shouted again after receiving no answer from her. However, the little girl ignored him, descended from the sky to a nearby tree, and walked to where Yuan's unconscious body laid. "That's the trash who was watching us fight." Meng Li was aware of Yuan's presence and that he had been watching them, but because he was too weak to affect them, Meng Li treated Yuan like an ant and ignored him. The same goes for Zhong Xuegang. The little girl kneeled to wipe the blood off Yuan's lips, her hands trembling slightly. "For injuring him, you shall be punished with death." After wiping the blood from Yuan's lips, the little girl stood and turned to face the two figures lying on the floor, her expression grim and filled with killing intent. For more, visit lightnovelpub.com. Heaven-splitting sword strike. The world suddenly trembled, and the heaven dimmed, almost turning into night. And a sword made from a golden light appeared in the grasp of the little girl. Heaven-splitting sword strike. Impossible! What are you doing here in the lower heavens? Zhong Xuegang recognized the technique being witnessed, and his heart nearly stopped from shock. The little girl ignored his question and suddenly slashed the sword downwards, and the heavens seemed to have split into two at that moment. Boom! A massive earthquake shook the entire eastern continent, shocking many experts within the continent, even alerting many ancient experts around the world. Yuan slowly opened his eyes, and the first thing that he noticed was the obviously large earth fissure in front of him with an end that he cannot physically see, looking as though it separated the earth in half. What did those two cause this? This is ridiculous. Yuan's back was soaked in cold sweat upon seeing the earth fissure that seemed endless. He couldn't imagine the power that was required to cause this much destruction. This earth fissure was more than enough to change the geography of this world. Suddenly, Yuan's heart jumped. He slowly turned his head, and it was this moment he realized that he had been sleeping on the soft lap of this little girl. Xiao Hua. He was pleasantly surprised to see her sitting beside him, even allowing him to sleep on her lap. Are you hurt anywhere? Yuan felt relieved upon seeing no injuries on her. Xiao Hua suddenly pulled his head back down to her lap. Master, you shouldn't move too much. You are injured. Eh? Yuan became dumbfounded. What did you just call me? Master? What kind of game are we playing this time? This is not a game. Xiao Hua has accepted Brother Yuan as her master. She showed him the necklace covered in blood with a serious expression. That's the necklace you gave me. Oh, so that's what you meant by using that to call you, to summon you as a servant. He face-palmed upon realizing the real meaning behind her words, making a loud slapping sound. Xiao Hua, you. Aya! He sighed loudly. Do you not accept Xiao Hua? Her expression saddened. Is Xiao Hua a bad girl? That's not it. I really like you, but to keep you as a servant is too much, since it will cause many unnecessary misunderstandings. Misunderstands? Xiao Hua does not mind. But I do. Yuan replied inside his head. After a moment of silence, Yuan finally said to her, Brother Yuan. Who? Xiao Hua looked at him with a puzzled expression on her face. As long as you call me Brother Yuan like normally, then there will be no misunderstandings. He explained to her. Then, her eyes began sparkling. Brother Yuan. She suddenly hugged him, hiding the bashful smile on her face. You have accepted Xiao Hua as your servant. Name, Xiao Hua. Servant grade, Divine. Master, Yuan. Cultivation, 3rd level Spirit King. Legacy, Supreme Heaven's Legacy. Bloodline, Divine Bloodline. Physique, Purple Mist Physique. Heaven's Secret Art. Rank, Divine. Mastery Level, 4. Heaven's First Secret Art, Consuming Heaven Technique. Mastery Level, 5. Heaven's Second Secret Art, Heaven Splitting Sword Strike. Heaven's Third Secret Art, Heavenly Domain. Mastery Level, 2. Heaven's Fourth Secret Art, Heaven Sealing Technique. Mastery Level, 1. Fly? Rank, Earth. Superior Senses. Rank, Heaven. Chi Manifestation. Purple Mist. Congratulations! Player Yuan has obtained the world's first divine grade servant. When the announcement appeared above the sky, countless cries of shock resounded around the world, and rumors of player Yuan being a cheater quickly began spreading like wildfire on this day. What the hell? This player Yuan is clearly already at endgame while the rest of us are still picking herbs just to earn barely enough money for a common weapon. The game hasn't even been out for a week and he is already obtaining things that will probably take months, even years of grinding. Can he even be considered a player at this point anymore? He is ahead of the entire player base, and not by a small margin. At this rate, couldn't he potentially rule over everybody at some point? This asshole must be cheating. There is no way he can obtain all these things so quickly. Even the current best players are nowhere near him, and I refuse to believe that some no-name can possibly be so far ahead of everyone else without cheating. That's right. He's clearly cheating. Where are the admins? What about the game creators? He needs to be punished. He either has balls that are hard as steel or he's completely nuts. To cheat so openly, does he think it wouldn't raise even a little bit of suspicion? Rumors of Yuan cheating in the game began spreading like wildfire across the internet. Cheaters nowadays, especially in popular games, are punished more severely than older times where cheating would only be frowned upon but nobody really tries anything major to stop them. Furthermore, if you are caught cheating, then there is a high possibility of receiving a fine that is more expensive than 10 years of rent for housing, and there are even many cases of cheaters being jailed for up to 4 years. For more, visit lighten-o-helpub.com. With so many risks involved, only those who are rich and really don't care would be willing to cheat. However, even these types of people wouldn't cheat so openly. So in Yuan's case, people could only assume that he was completely nuts to be so obvious in the current most popular game in the world. Cheating, hey. What do you think, White Lotus? Do you also believe this Yuan to be a cheater? A handsome young man in purple robes kicked the decapitated wolf head by his feet to the side. In his grasp was a steel sword with a black handle, and blue lightning snakes would coil around the blade every so often that was dripping with fresh blood. Beside him stood 2 other people, both beautiful ladies. The beautiful young lady with elegant features by his side silently stared at the announcement in the sky. Whether he is cheating or not does not concern me, she said a moment later, her gaze switching from the announcement to the large black cat beside her. But I am interested in what a divine rank servant would look like. Her 2-tailed black cat is a normal monster without a grade, but it has great agility and powerful attacks. If compared to cultivators, then its power would be equivalent to a 4th-level spirit apprentice. This divine grade servant, with this, his influence within and outside the game is massive and can no longer be ignored, and his actions could very well greatly impact the world. What's this? Is the Lightning Emperor, ranked 3rd in the legacy ranking, feeling pressure from a no-name? The other beautiful lady laughed charmingly. Do you feel nothing regarding our situation, Fiery Queen? Lightning Emperor looked at her with a serious expression. This is not a joking matter. Forget about me, the entire legacy ranking may be thrown into disorder because of this Yuan. I'd be lying if I say I am not interested in this player, but the entire legacy ranking? That's an exaggeration. His is probably just another cheater. What if he turns out to be the real deal, someone with extreme luck and skills? What will you do then? The cheerful expression on Fiery Queen's face turned serious after his question. Then I will obviously do what I have to and recruit him. Ha! Do you think you are the only one with that thought? Forget about the Foam family who is currently ranked first. Every family within the legacy ranking is actively looking for him even as we speak. Che. I know that already. But it doesn't matter how many are looking for him. As long as I find him first, then he will be mine. Lightning Emperor only snorted at her words. Talking to you is a waste of breath. We're here, the skeleton graveyard. Lightning Emperor readied his sword, his awareness alert. In front of the current 3 top players was a large graveyard with many skeletons walking around awkwardly, like wooden puppets with stiff movements. Let's quickly finish this. I am feeling sick just from your presence, said Fiery Queen. You willingly followed us. Only because we happen to have accepted the same quest. Che. Let's go. They have already noticed us. Fiery Queen retrieved her weapon, which was a long whip. White Lotus followed, holding a normal-looking sword in front of her. Despite being top players, neither of them had any chance to obtain weapons with a grade, so they can only put up with these normal weapons with no grade. Lightning Element. Lightning Emperor caressed his sword, causing the lightning snakes to return, coiling around the blade as though it was dancing. Body Enhancement, Speed. Fiery Queen's supple body glowed blue, and her body could no longer feel any weight, feeling as though she has become as light as a feather. Shuhei. White Lotus said softly, and the black cat stood in front of her. Let's go. Lightning Emperor kicked his feet, flying towards the skeletons at a quick speed. Don't order me around. Fiery Queen also charged forward, followed by White Lotus and her servant. Xiao Hua, you. Yuan was shocked upon seeing her character status. Although he doesn't understand what they meant, they were obviously not ordinary. To have a companion this powerful so early on in the game. Isn't this technically cheating? Yuan was aware of the advantage he currently has over all the other players, but because he isn't playing for competitive reasons, he doesn't on planning to use this advantage. Say, Xiao Hua. Compared to a spirit apprentice cultivator, how much stronger are you as a spirit king? He asked her so he could better comprehend the differences between them. Xiao Hua looked at him weirdly for a moment before saying, 1,000, 10,000. Brother Yuan, they cannot be compared because the difference is too vast. The difference is too vast? How so? That mountain over there. Xiao Hua can make it disappear with one attack. She pointed at the large mountain at the horizon and said casually. Disappear with one attack. Yuan's eyes popped when he heard her confident words. If what she said was true, wouldn't that make her a walking bomb with destructive power equivalent to a nuke? One that can be used multiple times? How could she possibly be a mere servant? Wouldn't her existence be considered a bit unbalanced for a game? Or are all cultivators this powerful once they reach a certain stage? Yuan couldn't help but wonder what the game creators were thinking when they thought that giving such a small girl like her so much power would be a great idea. Xiao Hua, do not use your powers recklessly, okay? I don't want to see you accidentally destroy a city or a piece of land. He suddenly turned to look at the Earth Fisher, his eyes wide open. Xiao Hua, did you do this? He asked her after having a feeling that it wasn't the 2 cultivators who had created this mess. Yuan. She nodded calmly, seemingly thinking nothing much of it. Ai. Yuan sighed loudly. What if you had accidentally hit somebody with that? Xiao Hua, listen up. Do not use your power unless I give you permission, okay? Yuan. She accepted his request quite easily. Good. Yuan looked at the Earth Fisher one more time before turning away with a bitter smile on his face. Let's go, Xiao Hua. It'd be bad if someone were to see us here right now. For more, visit liletnovelhelpub.com. Thus, the two began walking further from the crime scene. Xiao Hua, what will you do now that you have become my servant? Yuan asked her, still unsure of what the purpose of servants is in this game. Xiao Hua will follow Brother Yuan wherever he goes, she answered quickly. And she will lead you to the next realm. Who? Lead me to the next realm. Yuan. Well, never mind that for now. What about your family? What will they say if you decide to leave home to follow me? Brother Yuan is Xiao Hua's family now, so there are no problems. She looked at him with flickering eyes. I don't think that logic would work. He shook his head, unsure of what to do with her. For more, visit liletnovelhelpub.com. Taking a child who he met only a few days ago away from her family would cause countless problems if this was the real world, but Yuan recalled that he was in a game and she is only an NPC, so there shouldn't be any problems. All right, do as you wish, Xiao Hua. He finally said with a forfeiting smile. Congratulations! Player Lightning Emperor, player White Lotus, and player Fiery Queen has become the first players to have cleared Skeleton Graveyard. The sudden announcement shocked many players, but it was not because they were the first to clear this dungeon but because 3 different families from the Legacy ranking were grouped together. In other words, they were cooperating, something that is rarely seen by the public, if ever. Holy shit! 3 of the top 10 families within the Legacy are actually cooperating to clear a dungeon together. Perhaps they have decided to make an alliance to bring down this player Yuan. That is a possibility. Many players gossiped about the new announcement online, some even making conspiracies. The Legacy ranking is a system in the real world, or a real-world ranking so to speak, where professional players fight each other competitively to obtain a spot within the Legacy ranking. There can only be 100 players in the Legacy ranking, ranked 1 to 100. Being a part of the Legacy ranking brings countless profits and almost no downfalls. Wealth, fame, authority, power, one can obtain all that just by being in the Legacy ranking. Additionally, once a player becomes a part of the Legacy ranking, regardless of their rank, their family will also become a Legacy family, allowing them to recruit talented players to help them remain or climb the ranks within the Legacy ranking, almost like a guild or clan in games. Countless players, young and old, fight in worldwide tournaments just to obtain the qualifications to challenge someone who is within the Legacy ranking to steal their spot. Furthermore, only one game would be chosen every decade as the focus. Because of this, the rankings would usually have major changes every decade, except for those at the very top of the ranking. The game the Legacy ranking had chosen to be the main focus for this decade was obviously Cultivation Online, the hottest VRMMORPG in the world to date. Moments after the announcement, another one appears above the clouds. Congratulations! Player Xionglu has obtained the world's first spirit grade equipment. He's finally appeared, huh? Lightning Emperor narrowed his gaze at the name on the announcement. Xionglu of the Heavens Divinity, standing at the top of the Legacy ranking as the #1 player in this world. He is a major figure even in the real world, owning one of the biggest gaming companies out there. Even an unsurpassable monster like him could only obtain the lowest grade equipment in this game after so many hours, yet this Yuan. Fiery Queen sighed loudly. Xiao Hua, what are the grades for equipment? Yuan asked her after the announcement disappeared. Spirit, Earth, Heaven, Divine, each broken into 4 tiers of quality, low, medium, high, and peak. There are other grades higher than divine, but there is no need to worry about that since you can only find them in the higher realms. Realm, you also mentioned that before. What did you mean by bringing me to the next realm? Brother Yuan is currently in the lowest realm, the lower heaven. Xiao Hua's job is to help Brother Yuan reach the highest realm, the supreme heaven. Your job? He questioned. Why and who would give her such a job? Xiao Hua accepted the supreme heaven's legacy, so it became her job to find a successor. What a deep game. Yuan looked at the sky. How do we get to the next realm? He asked. Brother Yuan is too weak right now and should only worry about getting stronger. After that, we can challenge the Realm Guardian for access to the next realm. So it's that kind of game, huh? Yuan became more understanding of the goal of this game. Is there a reward for getting there? The Supreme Heaven, he asked out of curiosity, not expecting anything too much. Everything, she answered after a moment of silence. The winner shall obtain everything this world has to offer, so they become this world's god. Yuan totally did not expect such a generous reward. Allowing players to become god? So the game creators are essentially giving admin powers to those who reach that point? How generous of them. But I have no use for such power, so I will enjoy my life to the fullest and leave it to others to fight for that reward. Yuan thought to himself. He was content with just having the ability to use his eyes and limbs as he wishes. After walking for some time, Yuan finally realized that they were walking aimlessly without a destination. Xiao Hua, where should we go now? Or rather, what should we do? He asked her, who seemed to be the one leading this journey. Xiao Hua looked at him with a nonchalant expression and said, help Brother Yuan get stronger. And how will we do that? Although he doesn't really desire strength, it wasn't something he would refuse either. That. Xiao Hua suddenly pointed to the distance where there was an open field, and in this middle of this open field was a large figure at least 5 meters tall. That's a frog. Yuan quickly blinked a few times non-stop when he saw the massive frog with jade-like skin sitting in the middle with its eyes closed, seemingly sleeping. That is a jade frog. It has power equivalent to a 9th level spirit apprentice cultivator. 9th level spirit apprentice. I am only a 7th level spirit apprentice. Are you telling me to go kill myself? Yuan nearly cried upon hearing her words. For more, visit .com. Although the jade frog is 2 levels above Brother Yuan's cultivation base, it shouldn't matter because Brother Yuan has cultivated the heaven-consuming technique, allowing him to be stronger than most cultivators at the same level. Is that really how it works? Yuan. But I also don't know how to fight. It noticed us. Yuan suddenly pointed at the jade frog, its head turned towards their direction with killing intent radiating from its gaze. Whoosh! The jade frog suddenly leaped and appeared dozens of meters into the sky, almost as though it was trying to touch the clouds. Watch out! Yuan instinctively grabbed Xiao Hua by her waist with one hand and jumped back to avoid the shadow. Seconds later, the jade frog lands at where they originally stood, creating a dent in the ground. That was close. Yuan wiped the invisible sweat from his forehead when he saw the hole on the ground. They could have been meat paste if he didn't dodge that. Brother Yuan, good luck. She gave him a thumbs up and casually walked to the side to watch, dumbfounding Yuan. Thinking that she was just an ant, the jade frog ignored her and kept its gaze on Yuan. For more, visit lightnoffhelpub.com. You? How am I supposed to fight this monster without any weapons? He cried out loud. Then Brother Yuan can use this? Xiao Hua retrieved a small pouch from her robes, pulling out a steel sword from inside. However, when she pulled out the sword, it also alerted the jade frog, causing it to leap towards her. In the jade frog's eyes, Xiao Hua, who has a weapon, was more of a threat than Yuan, who was empty-handed, so it ignored Yuan and went for her instead. "Xiao Hua! Watch out!" He shouted to warn her, but Xiao Hua only watched it fall on her with a calm expression. Boom! The ground slightly shook when the jade frog landed on Xiao Hua's small frame. Yuan's eyes widened, and his jaw dropped from shock. In his mind, Xiao Hua has most likely turned into a pancake after being squashed by the jade frog's massive body and weight. Suddenly, purple mists began seeping out from beneath the jade frog, almost like it had farted, and Yuan returned to his senses. The purple mist distanced itself from the jade frog and gathered beside Yuan, before forming into the figure of a small girl. Xiao Hua! Yuan was baffled by what he'd just witnessed. What just happened? What's wrong, Brother Yuan? She asked him in a normal voice as though she did not just get flattened by the jade frog. What happened just now? Xiao Hua's purple mist physique. Yes, but I am also talking about why you just stood there to take its attack. You nearly gave me a heart attack. But Brother Yuan said Xiao Hua cannot use her power until Xiao Hua has permission, and Xiao Hua did not have permission. Yuan looked at her with wide eyes, his expression perplexed. Are you an idiot? He suddenly yelled at her. Startled, Xiao Hua shrunk her head like a scared turtle. Even if you didn't want to use your powers, you could have just dodged. There was no reason for you to stand there and take the hit. Yuan was upset, but mostly at himself for telling her to do something without thinking about it. Xiao Hua is just an NPC, someone programmed to act and do things a certain way, so if Yuan told her to sit, then she will sit without questioning him, her master. But Yuan didn't take into consideration that she was an NPC, who is also his servant, and treated her as a real human, hence why he believed that she would have some logic in her when he told her to not use her power recklessly. Sorry. Xiao Hua apologized. Ai. Yuan facepalmed when he saw her sad face. I should be the one apologizing, Xiao Hua. I had told you to do something without thinking. I'm sorry. When I told you to not use your powers, I didn't mean to completely seal off your power and be a punching bag. If you are in danger or feel like you need to use your powers, then just use it. What about Brother Yuan's permission? Forget I had ever said that and use it according to your judgment. What I am trying to say is there's no need to crack an egg by smashing it with a large rock, and think about your surroundings and the environment before you decide to use it. Xiao Hua understands. She nodded. Good. Now, give me that sword. I have a debt to settle with this damn frog. The moment Yuan grabbed the steel sword by the handle, information about the sword appeared in his head. Spirit sword. Grade, Spirit. Quality, Peak. Physical strength required, 900. Mental strength required, 1,500. Sharpness, 1,000. Description, cuts metal like butter. Good sword. Yuan instantly took a liking to it after swinging it a few times in the air. The jade frog remained unmoving, its gaze seemingly filled with confusion as it stared at Xiao Hua, who didn't even bother to return its gaze, as though it was nothing in her eyes. How did this insignificant-looking little girl escape unscathed after being crushed by its massive weight, it wondered. Yuan walked forward in a calm manner, his gaze deeply focused on the jade frog. Although he has never been in a fight before, he felt oddly calm at this moment, as though it was only natural. I have never been in a fight before, let alone use a sword. I have spent the majority of my life in a bed, silently rotting away. However, as powerless I may be outside of this world, I can use my limbs and eyes to the fullest in this world. As long as I am here, I feel as though I can achieve anything, even defeating this giant frog. Yuan suddenly dashed towards the jade frog, alerting it. His speed was faster than even the fastest man on Earth, and he arrived in front of Jade Frog in the blink of an eye. Witness. Remember. Learn. Execute. The fight between the two cultivators flashed inside his head, and his hands moved accordingly. Slash! The sword in his grasp had easily sliced the skin of the jade frog, causing blood to gush out from its stomach. The jade frog screamed from the pain, and it jumped back to avoid him. Xiao Hua's eyes widened when she witnessed the movements of Yuan's sword. Although it was stiff and seemed like the swing of an amateur, it was clearly a sword technique. Yuan did not chase after the jade frog and only looked at the sword in his grasp, and on his face was dissatisfaction. Che. I moved exactly as that guy did, but something about it did not feel right. Brother Yuan, you. Xiao Hua could only be shocked. What she just witnessed was the technique of one of the two cultivators she had killed. Did he learn it just from watching them fight for a brief moment? For someone to learn and execute a technique only after watching it once and only for a few moments, Yuan could only be described as a prodigy. I executed the movements perfectly and it had hit the target, but there was something missing. Yuan pondered. Perhaps Qi? As though he had received enlightenment, Yuan smiled, and his gaze returned to the jade frog. This time, I will slay you, he exclaimed with confidence, his sword pointing at the trembling jade frog. The jade frog was confused. The human looked incredibly weak and vulnerable just moments ago, yet the moment he grabbed the sword, everything about him changed. His weak aura became sharp like the sword, and his gaze showed dominance, even a hint of arrogance. What had happened to him that caused this change? Even Xiao Hua was also a bit baffled by his change. It was as if he had gone from a mortal who knew nothing about the world to a profound sword master. Even the aura he emitted has changed entirely. Yuan dashed towards the jade frog while it was dazed, and his hands maneuvered the sword in his hands with the same movements but with more precision and speed. The sword in his hand suddenly glowed red. Bloody sword strike. Shaw! The jade frog instinctively leaped back, but its movements were too slow when compared to Yuan's sword strike, and it split in half in mid-air, causing organs and blood to fly everywhere. You have learned Bloody Sword Strike. Bloody Sword Strike. Rank, Earth. Mastery Level, 1. Description, consumes 900 Qi. Must wield a sword to activate. A technique from the Blood Sect. Player Yuan has become the world's first player to have learned an Earth-ranked skill. Congratulations! Player Yuan has become the first player to have killed the elite boss, Jade Frog. 2 announcements appeared, back to back, for the world to see. After the Jade Frog died, Xiao Hua ran up to Yuan and asked him, "Brother Yuan, where did you learn that technique?" The sharp aura around Yuan disappeared the moment he heard Xiao Hua's voice. HM? Oh, it was a skill used by that red-haired dude fighting in the sky, he said casually. Xiao Hua silently looked at him with her eyes flickering with admiration. No wonder Brother Yuan comprehended the heaven's secret art in such a short time. She mumbled to herself. Anyway, I feel like I have gotten stronger from that fight just now. It also felt great to use my body in such a way. Yuan laughed. Perhaps I have a talent for fighting? Ha ha ha. Brother Yuan is a genius, no doubt. Xiao Hua nodded with a serious face. Stop it, you're embarrassing me with your flattering. Xiao Hua is not flattering. Brother Yuan's ability to comprehend things is otherworldly. Such talents are rarely seen even in the higher heavens, let alone this lower heaven. Yuan shook his head. I was able to beat that frog with ease only because of the powerful sword you gave me. Thank you, Xiao Hua. He patted her head. Then when Brother Yuan becomes strong enough, Xiao Hua will give Brother Yuan more powerful weapons, she said cheerfully. You have equipment stronger than this sword? What are you, a walking weapon shop? Yuan. But Brother Yuan is too weak to wield any of them, so Xiao Hua can only wait until he gets strong enough to wield them without exploding to death. Exploding to death. Yuan shivered upon hearing her cruel words. Surely you must be joking. Unlike normal weapons without a grade, spirit grade and above weapons are called spiritual weapons that have the ability to gain their own consciousness. If one tries to wield a spiritual weapon stronger than their own strength, then the conscious in the weapon may try to kill that person depending on its personality. Xiao Hua explained to him. How dangerous, it's almost as if everything in this game will try to kill you if you are too weak. Yuan thought to himself. Weapons, monsters, even humans, it does not matter, if it is strong, then it will dominate the weak. That's why Brother Yuan has to become strong, so he will not be bullied by the strong. I will be fine as long as I have you, Xiao Hua. Yuan tried to praise her, but she only turned solemn. Brother Yuan, Xiao Hua is only strong in this lower heaven. In the higher heavens, Xiao Hua is only an ant when compared to the real experts. She sighed. Only an ant. Yuan cannot imagine how powerful the cultivators in the higher heavens are when Xiao Hua is already strong enough to destroy an entire mountain. Xiao Hua suddenly walked away and towards where the dead jade frog laid. Where are you going? Yuan followed her. When monsters die, some of them will drop a monster core. Xiao Hua shoved her entire arm into the jade frog's corpse without flinching and pulled out a small crystal a moment later. Monster cores are very important to cultivators because they can greatly assist them in cultivation with chi stored inside. Here you go, Brother Yuan. She handed Yuan the monster core. What about you? Don't you also need to grow stronger? He asked. The amount of chi inside this monster core is too little to have any effect on Xiao Hua, so Brother Yuan should use it. Yuan nodded, and he threw the monster core into his mouth without hesitation. Taste like candy. He thought. Ah! Brother Yuan! Xiao Hua shouted loudly, looking baffled and scared at the same time when she saw Yuan throw the monster core directly into his mouth. What's wrong? Yuan looked at her casually. Monster cores are not meant to be swallowed like that, she said urgently. Hurry up and spit it out. When Yuan saw her panicking face, he also panicked. What will happen to him now that he ate one? Cold sweat soaked Yuan's back, but there was nothing he could do because the monster core had melted in his mouth the moment it touched his tongue and have already entered his stomach. I already swallowed it. Yuan spoke in a stiff tone. I know it is already too late, but what happens if someone swallows a monster core? Xiao Hua dropped to her knees and said, monster cores contain the entire cultivation base of its retainer before death, so if someone tries to swallow so much chi in one go, they will explode to death. Exploding to death again. Yuan's jaw dropped from shock. There are too many things in this game that will cause him to explode to death. Suddenly, Heaven Refining Physique activated. 1,280,000 chi has been refined from the Jade Frog's monster core. You have absorbed enough chi for a breakthrough. You have reached 8th level Spirit Apprentice. All stats plus 450. Brother Yuan, did you just have a breakthrough? Xiao Hua asked after a long silence, her voice filled with disbelief. I did. He answered with a weird smile. Want to keep listening? Find the full novel on Arcwave at arcwave.app. Clean audio chapters and your progress saved across devices.